This could be any man approaching 70, off to draw his pension, play dominoes at the Legion, renew his bus pass. Don't you believe it? 50 years ago, he started to climb the ladder of success, and within 2 or 3 years had become a household name in Britain, setting out from these shores to win races against the world's best. 50 years on, he's still a household name, and he's still motor racing. His name is Stirling Moss. This is the story of a man and a principality he nearly made his own, of Stirling Moss and Monaco, that private state on the Mediterranean, scene of 3 of Moss's greatest racing victories, and of the group of British enthusiasts who were determined that Stirling should race just once more around the famous streets as part of the 700th anniversary celebrations of Prince Rainier's Grimaldi family. The first task, of course, is to find some suitable cars. Hello, I'm Christopher Tate, motor racing broadcaster. The man with the beautiful collection of cars in the paddock is Valentine Lindsay, who is a GT racer nowadays in his own right, but has a fabulous collection of cars.
I'll try it. I'll come and have a sit down. How's that feel?
That's better. Before here is no good.
Yeah. And the gear shift's okay there now? Your seat's comfortable?
No,
You feel like
it's
you
pretty
can
good,
see
pretty
properly?
good, yes. Valentine, your father would have been proud.
Well, my father crashed his Birdcage back at Woodcote at Silverstone 25 years ago, and we had to visit him in the hospital a few times, so...
Well, I'll take it as easy as I can with this, don't worry.
I don't have any worries there, Sterling, don't worry. Sterling, how was that?
A duel.
A duel?
Yeah, really
Going
lovely.
properly, is it?
Beautiful,
And everything?
beautiful.
Excellent.
Really. Talking of duels, old boy, I must go because I've got 2 hours. I've got the TV thing in the office, so see you at Silverstone.
Another historic car collector, a friend of Lindsay's, has suggested that Moss should be persuaded to race a Formula One car at the forthcoming historic Grand Prix of Monaco. It would be Stirling's first drive there in over 35 years. Stirling, just think of it. Your 4th Monaco Grand Prix, 35 years later. Just think of it.
I'm thinking doesn't cost money, and it can't hurt you either, I'll tell you. But it's nice.
Naturally, we wouldn't expect you to test it here at Goodwood, you know, old times and all that.
I don't mind. I mean, I've had shunts at other places.
And you still race there, do you? Doesn't bother you at all?
No, not the slightest bit.
No.
I'll tell you what, look, why not come out with me to where it happened,
Yes.
and we'll see if we can reconstruct it.
Okay,
I have
well,
ideas, but I don't honestly know.
Okay, I'll be very interested.
Okay,
let's
go.
go.
Suzel, look, will you phone the TV people and tell them I'm going to be 1 hour late? Unfortunately, I've got to hang on. Believe it or not, I've got to hang on 1 more hour here. So I'll be 1 more hour. Ciao, ciao.
And on that day in 1962, Stirling suffered horrendous injuries. He'd had gearbox trouble at the beginning of the race and had fallen to dead last. In his attempt to carve his way back up through the field, he'd rushed through all the back markers, and out at the back here at Fordwater, he'd closed up upon Graham Hill in his BRM. What happened next remains a mystery. Did the marshal signal to Stirling to go past? Did Graham Hill signal to Stirling to go past? Whatever happened, and Stirling's memories are pretty hazy of that fateful day, Stirling's career ended in the bank here at Fordwater, 1962.
Yeah, you see, what happened obviously is, I reckon that Graham said thank you.
Yes.
I saw his hand,
Yes.
and I thought he meant pass me.
And you were unlapping yourself.
I was
didn't you?
unlapping, he still had a lap ahead, and I went round like this, and obviously he came over this side, because to take this quickly you have to.
Yes, yes.
But then you go over the right. but I didn't think he was. I thought he was just going to roll off, let me go by, and then go on.
So do you think he was waving as courtesy to the flag marshal?
Exactly. I think he was just acknowledging, I know somebody's there.
Yes.
I saw his wave as being, well, come on, you can come past.
Yes.
I mean, a misunderstanding. Graham was not the sort of person who'd push you off.
Yeah.
You know, not on that situation.
No,
he wouldn't.
exactly.
And
so you got 2 wheels on the grass. And
I got 2 wheels on the grass, and then of course it was wet.
Yes.
And I went straight into that bank on the left.
And that's where you ended up, somewhere
Over
there.
that direction there somewhere, yeah.
Moss's terrible injuries made front-page news, and his condition was reported each night on the television. He lay in a coma for a month, and the nation waited with bated breath. Would our hero survive? It was touch and go, but gradually he did recover, although it was to be 6 months before Moss would regain the use of his limbs, and a full year before he drove a racing car again. His lightning-quick reactions were no longer there, and Stirling decided to hang up his helmet. Years later, and with the name Stirling Moss still synonymous with motor racing, the track tempted him back, and he took up historic and saloon car racing, just for fun.
Stirling, hold on a minute. What about Monaco?
What about it? It's been there 700 years.
Stirling's racing career had begun in a little 500cc Cooper. This was a difficult art, but he soon mastered it and achieved a number of great successes. By 1948, just 18, he won his first ever race in the little 500cc Cooper. And having built that experience through 48 and 49, with races all over Europe, Moss was considered ready for the big time, Grand Prix racing, as early as 1950. But his fortunes were clouded by unreliable machinery, a legacy of Stirling's determination to drive only British-built cars, like the BRM, a hopelessly over-complex racing car. In 1954, having bowed to the inevitable and bought an Italian Grand Prix car, the fabulous Maserati 250F, Moss immediately became a real force in Formula One, winning the 200 miles of Aintree in April, and scoring his first World Championship points for third in the Belgian Grand Prix at the daunting Spa circuit. By September of that year, Moss had actually led a Grand Prix for the first time, and so impressed the autocratic Mercedes-Benz team manager Alfred Neubauer that he was offered the second Mercedes, alongside reigning world champion Juan Manuel Fangio, for 1955. Moss always says that Fangio was his hero, the master from whom he learnt everything. And during that summer of 1955, all over Europe, there was Moss learning. Doing so by sitting just inches behind Fangio for every race in which their cars kept running, following the master, watching, imitating, and improving his own technique. In every race, that is, except one. Aintree, the British Grand Prix, when the Mercedes running order was reversed and Moss headed Fangio home to win his first World Championship race. The boom in racing old Grand Prix cars has created the fastest growing form of international motorsport. Each year, historic racing festivals at Silverstone, Goodwood, the Nürburgring in Germany, and Laguna Seca in California are attended by crowds numbered in their hundreds of thousands. Now Monaco is to join the party, and as part of the Principality's 700th anniversary celebrations, a historic Grand Prix is to take place the week before the 1997 Formula One World Championship race. And it is in this event that Valentine is so keen to persuade Moss to drive. His plans include entering Stirling in the Maserati sports car for a warm-up race at Silverstone. The silver and blue Maserati owned by Lindsay was not yet set up perfectly, and Moss himself was a little rusty. After morning practice, Stirling elected to start from the back row in this short club race, and he had to be content with making up a few places into the midfield. After the race, Stirling asked for some changes to be made to the car. As Valentine drove back into the paddock in his car, he could only look on as Moss rushed away to his home, without saying whether he would drive for Valentine at Monaco or not. Valentine Lindsay is one of 3 racing brothers, sons of the late Patrick Lindsay, a director of Christie's the Auctioneers, and noted racer himself. Ludovic, James and Valentine each have cars entered for the Monaco Historic Grand Prix, and they will be competing all over Europe throughout the year. Valentine has decided to find Stirling at his London gym and sort out the final details of his race in Monaco.
I'm not much of an artist, am I?
Sterling, you've missed the swimming pool.
Wasn't there in my day. In my day, there were 14 corners a lap and 100 laps. That's 1,400 corners.
Yes, well, they're now 17 corners, but only 10 laps. But with the Armco, it's a lot tighter. So you're on to drive, are you, Sterling?
Well, we haven't discussed finance yet, have we?
Okay, Valentine, understood. Well done. That's great. We're on. You never know, we may be able to catch up with the Ecuria Cost Transporter. Of course, that Ecuria Cost Transporter was really just a thing in 1956-57. David Murray, who owned the team, had it built really in honour almost of the Mercedes-Benz Grand Prix team, that high-speed transporter they had built in 54. That would do about 100 miles an hour. And this Ecuria Cost one would be touring Europe at over 60, which was good for its day, and it'll still do 60 now.
Guess where? Yes, Monte Carlo, a small principality in the Stirling area. And as usual, all eyes are focused upon him, as his Rob Walker entered Lotus is prepared for him to drive against the Porsches and the new 1961 Ferraris, which take their places on the starting grid.
So, Sterling, we finally made it to Monaco. When did you first race here? 1950?
1950 was the first time I came. It was a Formula 3 race then with a 500cc Cooper. And on the, no, not exactly the same circuit, the same as the Formula 1 was then. And of course I'd raced on other street circuits, but this is something quite unique. And it has a special ambience all of its own.
And after all the British airfield circuits which you'd been racing on, past oil barrels and the occasional straw bale, this must have looked astonishingly different. Or had you seen other street circuits?
Yes, I'd been to other street circuits, and of course in those days we didn't have all this Armco stuff around. I mean, Monaco was very special, and you had curbstones, and obviously which you tried not to hit. You could see the people who went a bit too close because they get the white paint on the side of their tyres, or if they went too hard, of course they'd knock a wheel. But yes, it was something very special here.
You'd had previous street races in other cities, because there were quite a few at that time. It was not unique as Monaco.
Oh no, I mean, in fact, anywhere but England we had them. I mean, it's the only place we raced. In England we had the aerodromes. Jersey, of course, and the Isle of Man we raced on the roads. But throughout Europe, I mean, places like Aix-les-Bains and San Remo and Mette and Périgueux, they were all on road circuits, but not quite as much in, well, they were in the towns, I suppose, but not the same as Monaco quite.
Can you remember what happened during that Formula 3 race in the Cooper?
I remember that my mother and father came here, and I remember that the Cooper was particularly well suited because although this circuit's very, very tight, a 500cc or Formula 3 as it was as big as it could be. In other words, a little tiny car, and therefore the size of the restrictions of the circuit didn't worry me as much as they might have done, and it suited it pretty well because you could change the gear ratios very easily, and the car went exceptionally well, and I managed to win it. So I have good, happy memories of it actually. Now I think they've probably contoured it further out, to tell you the truth, since it was originally, because these stands went up here.
Because it was a little further in.
Yeah, it was a much narrower road to start with. We went right across there, you see, in where they are now, actually, in there. And much more so, I think you'll find.
Much more up against that wall.
I think, yes, exactly,
in the old one.
Yes, exactly. The grandstands didn't go right like that. I think there were a few much smaller grandstands in this area here, as we came round here. But it's completely changed.
So the corner was a sharper angle.
Yes, it was considerably sharper here.
And then it was more of a straight, because of course the swimming pool wasn't there.
Exactly, the swimming pool wasn't there. We went straight past here, down to the end, flat out, down to the end, and then hairpin back, and came back up the road we use now.
Right.
So in other
Literally
words,
on
in
the
the
other
centre was
side.
a narrow galley here where people could signal you this way or that side. You could be signalled both sides, you see.
Of course,
See what I mean?
So you would literally know 30 seconds before
Yeah.
what was going to happen. With Monte Carlo the centre of attraction for all motor racing aficionados, it wasn't long before Stirling had bumped into some old friends, including the record 6-time winner of the Le Mans 24-hour race and the winner of 8 Grand Prix, Jackie Ickx.
I think that's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, so do I really do.
And everybody is looking forward
Yeah.
to it. People are very enthusiastic.
Well, look, people have said that they've taken their whole year's budget because it's worth coming here. And
Yes,
they
because
want
it's
event
only
to do.
it's the 700th anniversary of the Prince.
They should have one of you up here,
No,
shouldn't they?
that is when he was very young. He was a fantastic driver.
Was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever race against him?
Yes, many times, but not when he was looking as young as that.
C'est une des Ferrari les plus copiées à modèle réduit.
Very good, fantastic, and thank you for letting us come and ruin your country. Huh? Wonderful, absolutely fantastic.
And it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful, and all the people. I mean, the enthusiasm. Oh, sure, I'm driving everything I can. But it's wonderful to come to your place and have this race for the old cars. You know, I mean, it's something that I can't wait for the next time, which is what 1,000 years. I'll be too old, you know. But thank you very much.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Moss's former entrant, Rob Walker, the first and the last private owner to win a Grand Prix, was there to watch Moss climb into his Cooper and prepare for qualifying. The first practice session brought mixed results. Rod Jolly, in his Cooper, set pole, while Stirling, in car number 30, did well to qualify 10th in rapid company with the smaller engine car, but he was not happy about the Cooper's Climax engine.
Never heard that.
Due domande prima di entrare, l'iniziante, se non la
Modeste paese.
I would like everybody to fill their glasses so that we can drink a toast to the Automobile Club of Monaco and thank them for having us here this weekend, which I think will prove to be an event that none of us will ever forget in our lives. And we all owe everything to them. And that is Michel Boiré, Michel Ferry.
Good morning, Stirling.
Stirling.
Hi.
We've got some bad news and some good news. The bad news is the Cooper is shot.
Oh, that's a shame. I must say I'm not surprised though, she felt a bit sick last night.
However, the good news is that we've got you in the Maserati for the race, the sports car race, and I think you'll do quite well in it, and it's working properly. So I'm sorry about the Cooper.
As they form up now for the pre-60 Formula One race, they're probably thinking, which is more expensive? Throwing away £50 notes going historic motor racing, or coming here in the evening to gamble their savings away?
Mr. Hamilton! Good.
So this is what so many of the spectators have come especially to see. The great Stirling Moss actually racing again at Monaco. Admittedly, it's in a sports car race, not the Grand Prix car, but luck as always plays its part. Stirling was actually fastest in the first practice for these cars, and he lines up 5th overall out of 30 cars. Remarkable. The cars ahead of him on the grid include former British touring car champion Frank Sittner in that yellow D-type, here Lindsay Owen-Jones in a Maserati Birdcage, Burkhard von Schenk in his earlier Maserati 300S, and also in one of those cars, the hotshot historic racer Martin Stretton. Behind them, a further 25 cars, Lotuses, Coopers, and more Jaguars. So, we're getting ready for the race now. They've done their warm-up lap, on the grid, set to go. The flags are waving in the back, the lights go to green, and the cars are away. It's going to be very tight into this first chicane. And we hope they can all make it. Yes, they're all squeezing through. Stirling's dropped back from his 5th place start on the grid to about 6th there, as the rest of the field files through. Sittner and Owen-Jones pull away up the hill into the Casino Square for the first time. Down the hill past the famous Tip Top Club, Moss is 6th. He's in 6th place there. Down to the Mirabeau, past the Lowe's hairpin and on down towards the Portier corner. Moss well up with the leaders there. We see him there, look at that, still displaying the same relaxed pose and style of 35 years ago as he hits the seafront and heads into the tunnel. Sittner is chasing the leader Owen-Jones very hard. That car is yellow because it's the ex-Écurie National Belge car, and yellow was Belgium's national racing colour. And that was Stretton going straight on. Stretton has spun. He's spun out of his position there. He was 4th, leaving Stirling able to pull away a little bit. Yes, look, he is closing down on the Lotus now. A tremendous drive by Stirling. He was coming up closer on that very quick little Lotus, which has spun. Stirling, a clatter of glass and metal there. He may have hit him a little. The Lotus gets underway again, but that's held everybody up and allowed Martin Stretton, recovering from his spin, to get back up behind Stirling. Stretton really is very close behind Stirling, and he's trying to take him on the corner there as they head down towards the Portier. Stirling having none of it. This is a man who's some 40 years younger than Stirling, and extremely well known in historic racing. And Stretton's all over Stirling, but Stirling's fighting back brilliantly. It may even be that Martin feels that it's a little awkward for him to try and overtake the maestro on his favourite circuit, Moss at Monaco. Into the tunnel they go in hot pursuit. Wonderful noise as these engines echo through the tunnel. And emerge out into the daylight once more, coming down to the quick left-right at the chicane here. Stretton closing under braking. Stirling being a little bit more careful, and he's just left the door open just a little bit, and Stretton is through. Martin Stretton is through. The marshals all shaking their fists in amazement in the background there. So that means Moss is now back to fourth, the crowd applauding. It was a nice, neat manoeuvre by Stretton, and Stirling nothing to be ashamed of at all in letting him go. This is Stirling's first proper race in this car. Up at the front, Lindsay Owen-Jones, still managing to hold off Frank Sittner. And it's the last lap now as they sweep through Casino Square, a marvellously evocative sight, and down the hill. Look at that tail slide that we're getting from the yellow D-type Jaguar. The marshals urging them on, and Stirling is not far behind as he comes up into the Casino Square at the same time. The back markers trying to keep out of the way there. They know these two are serious. Well, there's nothing fancy about historic racing. It's racing pure and simple, and these two, as experienced professionals, know what racing's all about. Owen-Jones then leading Sittner through the tunnel, going past Adrian Hall's pretty little Lotus. Sittner sweeping up behind Hall there as well, and out into the daylight and down towards the chicane. And there are cars all over the place. I hope no one's going to get in the way. That's Willie Tuckett's D-type. Whoa, a very exciting manoeuvre, but Owen-Jones is through. But I'm not sure that won't have held up. Sittner's passed him, and he's closing on him. He's going to be lucky to get him now. Not many places left to overtake. That's past Robert Brooks, the auctioneer, and into the final sequence of turns. The D-type sliding all over the place, and these are really the final corners now. He's going to be lucky to get past him. Look at that opposite lock as he powers up into the tight little corner, and again glorious power slides from this beautiful D-type Jaguar. But Owen-Jones, I think, has got it. Yes, he has. Owen-Jones crosses the line, arms aloft, traditional Monaco style. Well done, Lindsay Owen-Jones, a great win. But undoubtedly the drive of the race has come from Stirling Moss. However delighted Lindsay Owen-Jones is, and every reason he has to be up at the front there, Stirling Moss has brought his birdcage Maserati over the line into an astonishing fourth place. Well done, Stirling. The marshals delighted, the crowd delighted. Look at that applause. Stirling knows this is a great moment, and he's waving to the crowd, as is Owen-Jones at the front. A win at Monaco. Not many drivers can boast of that. And one man who can is Stirling Moss. 3 previous Grand Prix wins over much longer races than this.